Hello viewers, Super GT here. Now we're back with another FIA race, and these have been going really well recently actually. We've had a couple of really good results. My last video, entitled, I Might Be Getting Good. Well, on the evidence of the qualifying for this one, I'm not getting good. Qualified 18th, which is pretty darn rubbish actually. And the crucial thing I missed in qualifying was the slipstream, which is worth quite a lot around this track, Dragon Trail Seaside in Group 4. And, well, okay, that put me at the back of the pack. This is going to be a hard race. You know, from this kind of position, you can basically write off a race win, especially in Split 2. You can write off a race win just full stop, because I just don't really win FIA races when I'm in second split. Full stop. Now the first corner basically messed it right up. Not really judging the cold tyres properly or the slipstream, so instantly making a mistake. But as I said, the slipstream is really important around here. As long as I can stay in the slipstream, there's always something of a chance. And with the rolling starts, of course, we all know it just forms into a long snake of all the 20 drivers following each other around for the first lap or so before the carnage really begins. I think it'd be cool if they did a couple of grid starts on some of these races. It would be absolute mayhem, but that's always good lols, isn't it? When there's crashes and people upside down at turn 1. That's a bit more fun, to be honest, unless it's you upside down at turn 1 and then probably getting a 5-second penalty for getting turned over at turn 1. But there you go, there's my rambling. Okay, so we come around here, Dragon Trail Seaside, Chicane of Death. In Group 4 it's not as bad. I did kind of make an absolute hash of it on my first lap there. Just grinding against the barrier on the exit, losing a bit of momentum, under attack from our fellow Ferrari driver into the final corner of the lap. Not close enough though to go for the move. Okay, so first lap, kind of boring. Nothing really happening there too much. A couple of little mistakes, but we're still in 18th out of 20. So we're very close to the back of the pack. 8.8 seconds already off the lead. It just shows you how much of an effect qualifying has. By starting further forward, of course, you know, that is a massive help. But because of the rolling starts where the cars are spaced out quite a lot, instantly the gaps are quite big. And at the end of lap 2 was kind of solid, but you can see that I'm just beginning to drop off slightly from the Aston Martin, maybe pulling away from the Ferrari behind a tiny amount, not much though. But the crucial thing there is really that I'm just dropping off this group here, the McLaren, the Nissan, the Aston Martin, just dropping off, still slightly in with a shout, but not quite there. The gap near enough a second, so if I have a bad lap here then I'm out of the slipstream range. Later on in lap 3 I was 1.2 seconds. I was just dropping and dropping and dropping. And it was this point here I was like, mate, this is just, what's the point? What's the point? I'm just dropping back. Nothing's going to happen in this race. So I quit. Just a prank. Just a prank, bro. Didn't quit. We continue. Don't worry. That didn't happen. That's just editing. Beauty of editing. That was just a prank. We continued. But it's just one of those races where at the start you're like, I'm 18th, like nothing's happening here, I'm dropping off, I'm going backwards. What is the freaking point of wasting another half an hour of my life for this race? But I'm going to have to take my own advice, because in recent videos I've been like, okay, don't quit, continue. Because you can see in this group ahead, things are kicking off, big time. For those of you who may have watched LZR Lewis's POV of this race, you'll know how crazy this became. On lap 4, look at this massive huddle of cars coming through here. LZR Lewis off the circuit, swinging about left, right and centre. He's off and we're through. We're going to gain a position. And what looked like a race that was going down the drain, going right in the bin, we've turned it around here because everyone else has decided to get a little bit friendly with each other and start binning each other off into the undergrowth. So we're up into 17th. We've finally gained a position. And it looks like we can gain a few more here because we have a group of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including me, and then 7, 8, 9, probably 9 of us here. All 9 of us from 12th back to 20th in one nice, closely knit community as we now come through the what's it called? Chicane of Death. How can I forget? Through here, we're taking it quite nicely actually. This Ferrari fairly controlled through there. I do much prefer the Group 4 Ferrari over the Group 3 one, as the Group 3 one really struggles with tyre wear. This one was a lot more even in terms of tyre wear front to back, so it wasn't so much of an issue. Okay, so now it looks like the Atenza just dropping back. The Nissan GTR at the front of this pack done well to get to the front of the group, as he was the guy who qualified just in front of me in 17th. Now he is up in, what's that, 12th. So he's jumped up 5 positions. I've only jumped up 1. Under attack now from the Nissan GTR, which was starting in last place. There it is. I'm going to go slightly defensive, as does the Mazda in front. A small tap in the rear end of the Mazda. But we all get through here just okay. And now we're being tailed by LZR Lewis in the Hyundai of all cars. And that is not a car to lose to. I think that I made that one objective of this race, was to make sure I don't lose to the Hyundai. Absolutely at no cost should I lose to it. If I have to, just ram him off. Just take the hit, you know. Literally just smash him off. This is where things got very interesting. Aston Martin goes very deep, just pushes Quintin wide, and Quintin kind of has to come back. I got the inside. The Aston's off into the barrier. You can see it on the radar. He just gets completely obliterated. You might want to rewind that, have a look at the radar. He got completely killed. Totally wasted. He's going to wake up in a hospital somewhere in a minute, or in a few days' time. Down into the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. Quintin now with a 3-second penalty. And now we are 3 abreast with Lewis. The Hyundai versus the Ferrari versus the Lamborghini. Korean power versus Italian. And it looks like the Ferrari's going to win out on this occasion. So I just slot in ahead, up into 15th. But you can see what all this fighting has done, as the group of 3 ahead has just broken clear, as we've just been engaging in World War III combat. But that is not such a good thing, because obviously that gap's opened up. I'm out of slipstream range, but, well, actually I'm just about inside slipstream range again. But the good thing, I suppose, is that the 2 drivers immediately behind me, Lewis and Quintin, have penalties there. You can see 5 seconds and 3 seconds respectively. The main thing here really is just to try to keep ahead of them before the penalty zone, so I don't lose any time. So into the braking zone for turn 1, and then turn 2 here is really just an exit of turn 1, just powering out. You see how close Lewis is. Firmly touches that slipstream. He's going to be serving a penalty in 2 corners' time. And thankfully, I am just within the range of slipstream of the 3 guys ahead. So I noticed, you can look at the map and just see, as the 2 guys behind serve their penalties, that these races form into clusters. Any circuit where there's a lot of slipstream, or where slipstream is important, you get lots of little groups, close-knit communities where people work together, apparently. That wasn't evident on that 4, but yeah, the race sort of forms into groups, and if you're on your own, it's quite difficult because you've got no slipstream from anyone. So you kind of have to work together. It's almost like cycling. For anyone who's into professional cycling, Tour de France, etc., you kind of form clusters of groups together, you work together, get aero, get slipstream benefits. As part of a group, if you're on your own, it's much tougher. So it's actually fairly similar here. Nissan and the Atenza going side by side through the chicane of death, and I couldn't really pick a way past. So unfortunately, I transferred all of my momentum towards the Nissan. He gives me the flash of the lights just to say thank you. Well, I didn't really intend for that to happen, but there we go. At least I'm still in the slipstream range. That's the crucial thing. So I couldn't gain the position, but we're still in with a shout. Now, looking behind at the gap, there it is. They're just dropping back a little bit now, 1.5 seconds. So they're on the frisk, right on the edge of slipstream range is the group behind. So we're just trying to pull away. If we can pull away from that group, that'd be great. We do not want to fall into the clutches of that group behind. So we got our first pit stop here from the Aston Martin driver. So he's just come out the pit lane on fresh tyres. He'll be quick, so just watch him drive away from everyone. There's not much point in challenging really. So Edu in the Nissan sensibly backs out. There's not much point in fighting someone on fresh tyres. You're just going to lose more time. And that is the crucial thing here. As we look behind, Lewis, Quintin, and fellow Ferrari driver in the carry in the Nissan not too far behind, so if we start fighting too much here, they are going to be in with a shout of catching us back up. They are just about in slipstream range, group behind. So our objective here really is just to try to pull away slightly so that we're not giving them any aerodynamic assistance around the circuit. Okay, down the hill into the long braking zone here. Go a little bit deep. We are on the last lap of these tyres. You can do a no stop on this race, but it's very difficult. Really, you have to be an absolute god of tyre management to achieve that, and that I am certainly not. So we are going to come into the pit lane. Look at that, flying through the chicane of death. We're not dying, although that guy's dying. The McLaren obviously having some sort of semi-death through the chicane of death. The chicane of semi-death, or the chicane of serious injury, as it shall sometimes now be referred to. Okay, so end of lap 7, near enough halfway into the race. You can't divide 15 by half exactly, so we're going to go in at the end of lap 7. 7 lap stint at the start, 8 lap stint at the end. It's normally better to do your longer stints at the end because your car is lighter with less fuel, so it can handle the tyres better. Okay, so exiting the pit lane in 16th behind the Nissan still, and there goes the Aston Martin of X-Buck, who went in a lap earlier, I think. We'll see how that one plays out. I'm not quite sure. It's quite hard to keep track of everyone's strategy, but come out here in 16th, so only 2 positions better, but at least we have someone to fight. It looked like on lap 3 I was like, you know what, I could really do with just switching this right off and just going and relaxing and doing something different. But I stuck with it for another lap, and thankfully all melee broke loose. World War 3 was engaged, and I managed to get back on terms with the group. So in terms of X-Buck, I'm just confused with his strategy here, because on this lap he's really struggling and just falling into our clutches. So he's just dropping back, massively dropping back, and I'm really confused as to how I got ahead of him. So I can probably watch this back and realise quite quickly. People will comment and go, "Super GT, you idiot! This is what he did. It's quite obvious." He's going to peel away to the right hand side here and go into the pit lane. So he's going to go right to the back of the order. 14th now, and still just looking behind. I'm just so nervous about that group, because as soon as they have a chance of catching up, then, you know, I just do not want to get engulfed by a big group like that, because it's just never good news. That's bad news, coming through the chicane of semi-serious injury, and we've just lost maybe more than half a second there, just by not really committing early enough. You do have to get really cosy with the first apex. You kind of turn in quite early, get cosy with the first apex, and then power out for the second. And I kind of didn't do that. Dropping down to 14th. Someone completely rage quit. Someone who was ahead of us, so we actually moved up a position there, up to 13th. So always good to gain a position for free. I'm not sure what happened to that person, but they obviously decided that enough was enough. Okay, so lap number 12 now, and coming through the chicane of serious injury. We're going to go through there very nicely, and looks like, I'm not sure what's happened here, but the guy in 10th place, dropping down the order completely. That was the Aston Martin, who we had a brief skirmish with when he exited the pit lane at the end of lap 6, or the start of lap 7. And so we've gone past him, gained another position, and people are just falling by the wayside here. And immediately, right, we found ourselves battling for 10th place. This is pretty crazy. I started 18th, I was falling back, I was like, let's just give up. What's the point? I'm just dying of death here. But all of a sudden, you stick with it, and then look at this. We're battling for a top 10 in split 2, which is not too bad, especially starting from 18th. If I could sort my bloody qualifying out, then maybe I'd be a little bit further up, but you never know. That's not the way it goes always. In split 2 it is quite tricky. Into the right-hander just before we come up the hill here. Very nice corner actually, I like that one. Kind of use the curb on the exit to give yourself a bit more camber angle to go through. So coming down the hill then, 2.5 laps left to go, and we're in with a shout of 10th place, which is really quite a good result if we could get it. Let's see if we can get it through the triple S's. So this one, it seems as though this Ferrari is actually really good on tyre wear, because at the start of each stint I was quite slow and I was dropping back, but then towards the end of each stint it looked like other people were struggling more than me. As we got up the inside, good move, up into 11th, we've overturned the Atenza for 11th place. It's a side-by-side battle now. I've got the slipstreams, and I therefore get the extra speed into the chicane complex, and ultimately slot in ahead. Through here, okay. And into the slipstream now of the Nissan, through the tunnel towards the final corner. And I'm going to move to the inside. It's quite a tricky battle this, because these two guys have really good straight line speed on their cars, the Nissan and the Atenza, and it's like I'm really struggling to keep up, or at least just to try to overtake them. So we can see I'm going to tuck into the slipstream. The Atenza behind, still there. So look at this, look how close it is between the three of us as we go over the line to begin the 14th and penultimate lap of the race. So not too long left to go, about 3.5 minutes at this rate. So coming through, first corner, first and second corner, still with the slipstream. He actually gets quite a decent run, but then it looks like he misses his shift or something. And that gives me enough of a momentum boost just to go through up the inside. And breaking on that shadow, turning in, and we are up into 10th place, up into a top 10 from 18th on the grid. Okay, over the crest. Now, this is the tricky bit, because I don't have any slipstream assistance from anyone ahead, and I have to hold off these two cars for a lap and a half, which is going to be very tricky. It looks like the gap ahead is too big at this point here, 3.7 seconds. So that might be someone on a no-stop strategy. We'll have to monitor that gap just to see if we can potentially catch up. As we come down the hill, I was thinking about going defensive. I wasn't sure if they were close enough to go for the move. It looked like my tyres were fresher, but he actually went for the move, and he's made it work. So regrettably, I should have defended that one. 3 abreast coming through here, and it's going to be a similar story with the Nissan out in front into this complex, myself in the second place of this group. Through here for the 14th time. We haven't bottled it. We've made a couple of little errors through there. Nothing major enough to die from. So Edu going slightly defensive, just trying to make us think twice about going for a move into this final corner. I'm going to go around the outside. I've got the Atenza on my inside, on my right hand side here. You can't quite see him. You can see him on the radar though. I do have the slipstream now of the Nissan, so I'm going to make sure I tuck in behind and keep that slipstream. As we go on to the final lap, can we get one more position? Potentially 2, if we can catch up with the guy in 9th, who looks like he might be on an old set of tyres, but the main thing here is going for 10th, trying to keep him narrow, force him into a bad line. I actually get a lot of understeer there. Can we do a repeat of lap 14, where we managed to nip up the inside here into this corner? He hasn't missed his shift on this occasion. He's learned his lesson. I'm going to go to the outside and do it a little bit too late. And I'm right on the edge here, just grazing the grass. And I'm not sure how I did not make contact with the back of the Nissan or the Atenza on the inside. Somehow kept that under control. I do not know how, on old tyres. We come down the hill for the final time in 11th with a chance of 10th, a chance of a top 10 in split 2 through the S's, through the triple. I'm going to tuck into that slipstream once again. This is a precarious situation. We could gain one, we could also lose one, so you have to make sure you make the right move at the right time. He goes defensive. I'm going to try to keep him to the right hand side again. As we go to the outside, he blocked the inside. There's no chance of going for that move. He's defended very well there. And we're running out of opportunity to go for this move. Can I get the undercut coming out? It's not quite going to happen. I'm going to have to back out this section here, single file only. If you want to go side by side, then, well, you are just writing your own death sentence, basically. We come through into that slipstream. We've got a good exit. He's going to go to the right hand side. He knows that it's on. As we come down into the final corner of the race, on the left hand side, the outside, coming towards the final corner, we have the Atenza to worry about. He's got the inside. Look at the radar. Going to go for the cutback as he goes across to the outside. It's going to be a track race up the final hill to the line. I don't have the power to beat the Nissan. We have to watch out for the Mazda Atenza as well. He's going to come through. It's going to be really close on the line, and it was 0.004. That result there says 0.005, but either way, ridiculously close. And I just kept 11th place. If it was one more metre, then I think I would have lost it. But wow, what a finish. Finishing 11th after all that, on the verge of giving up. But that tells you there, maybe you should keep going even if it's looking very grim. But that is all for me. I do hope you enjoyed the race. As always, let me know your thoughts, and I shall see you next time. Have a nice day. Goodbye.